Welcome back. Today we're going to be working on simplifying linear expressions. So you need your Unit 2 vocabulary notes and your simplifying linear expressions notes. Let's talk about what linear expressions are and how you can recognize them. So linear expressions are algebraic expressions where the highest exponent of the variable is 1. So in these examples here, the highest exponent on the variable is 1. We don't really write it in there, but if there's a variable there, the exponent is 1. And nonlinear expressions are expressions where the highest exponent of the variable is not 1. So you see in some of these examples, we have the variable being squared or cubed or to the 5th power. Pause the video and write down these 2 vocabulary words, definitions, and examples on your notes. All right. So let's work on simplifying linear expressions. Now, in order to simplify linear expressions, we need to have knowledge of 2 other concepts, combining like terms and distributive property. We've already learned these 2 topics, so if you have that strong knowledge, you'll be ready to simplify linear expressions. So to simplify linear expressions, we're going to always distribute first. Once we distribute, the parentheses will disappear, and then we can combine like terms. So let's take a look at example H. So in example H, we have a linear expression. We need to distribute first. So we're going to pretend that this 4 isn't here. So we're just going to pretend this 4 isn't here. So what are we distributing? We're distributing a -1. So -1 times 6x is -6x, and -1 times -5, oops, I didn't need an extra arrow there, is +5. The parentheses have now disappeared. Now that 4 is there, so it's just going to come down. Once there's no parentheses, we can look and see if there's any like terms. We see our constants 4 and 5 are like terms. So our variable term will come down. Same sign, 4 and 5, add and keep the sign. So we have +9. And now we are in simplest form. Now, if we go back to the original problem and take a look, explain why my first step in this original problem up here is not to simplify 4 minus 1. Because a lot of students see that first and they say, oh, 4 minus 1 is 3, right? They say 3, and then they want to distribute the 3. But that's not correct. How come? Did you think about order of operations? You'd be right. Multiplication comes before subtraction. So let's write that down. Multiplication, which is our distributive property, comes before subtraction in order of operations. So we have to distribute, we have to distribute first. Okay, let's try a couple more. Take a look at A. So first thing we want to do, we want to get rid of those parentheses, so we need to distribute. 2 times 3x is 6x, 2 times +4 is +8, and the -7 just comes down. There are no other variable terms, but we do have constants, +8 and -7, different sign. Subtract and keep the sign of the higher number, so 6x plus 1. Take a look at B. What's the first thing we should do on B? Good. See if you can simplify. It's very similar to the example we did up here. Let's take a look. So the 5 is just going to come down. We're going to distribute the 2 to the x. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times -3 is -6. There's no other variable term, so the 2x comes down first. We have our constants 5 and -6, which is -1. We have no more like terms, and so now we are in simplest form. Now, on example C, we still have to get rid of the parentheses first before we do anything else. Well, what's in front of the parentheses? You might say nothing, but there's really an invisible 1, like we've learned before. So we're just going to distribute that 1 to each term in the parentheses so that we can eliminate those parentheses. So 1 times 2x is 2x. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. 1 times x is x or 1x. You can write it either way. And 1 times 4 is 4. Once you've distributed, we'll combine like terms. So we have 2x and 1x, which is 3x. And then our constants, negative 3 and positive 4, positive 1. So our simplest form is 3x minus 1. Now, a lot of students take a look at D and get a little overwhelmed. But if you take it step by step, you'll be fine. So let's take a look here. What are we going to distribute first? Exactly, the negative 3. So negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times positive 5 is negative 15. And then we also have to distribute here. Are we distributing 6 or negative 6? Negative 6, because that sign is attached. Very good. So we would have minus 6x, and negative 6 times 2 is positive 12. That minus 4 comes down. Now, here's where students make a mistake. Negative 6x minus 6x. Is that 0? It's not, right? Same sign, add and keep the sign. So we would have negative 12x. Then we have our constants, negative 15, positive 12, and negative 4. So what's negative 15 plus 12? Different sign, subtract, keep the sign of the higher number would make that negative 3. And then we still have to combine it with that negative 4. Now it's same sign, add and keep, negative 12x minus 7. Take a look at E. E looks similar to C above it, except instead of distributing a positive 1, what do you think we're going to be distributing? Exactly, a negative 1. So let's put those negative 1s in here. And again, we'll distribute. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x or negative x. Negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. You finish this one. Keep distributing, then combine like terms, and figure out what the simplest form is going to be. A couple more. Take a look at F. What are we going to do first on this one? Exactly. We're distributing a decimal this time, negative 2 and 2/10. So that negative 6 comes down. We're going to multiply and distribute negative 2 and 2/10 times 2. If you're not sure, do 22 times 2. Move that decimal over. So we have negative 4 and 4/10 x. And negative 2 and 2/10 plus 1 multiplied by plus 1 is minus 2 and 2/10. And your negative 7x comes down. Now we need to remember our same sign rules as well as our decimal rules to combine all of these. First, let's start with the variable terms. Negative 4 and 4/10 x minus 7x. Same sign, add and keep the sign. So 7 plus 4 and 4/10 is 11 and 4/10 x, but we need to keep the sign. And then our constants, negative 6 and negative 2 and 2/10. Again, same sign, add and keep the sign. So minus, remember 6 is a whole number. So that's going to be in the ones place. So we have 8 and 2/10, and it's negative. Are these like terms? They're not. And so we are in simplest form. Take a look at F. Nope. Take a look at G. We just finished F. So on G, we have to distribute to 2 sets of parentheses just like before. So there's a 1 here that we're going to distribute. 1 times 4x is 4x. 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. Now, what are we distributing to the second set of parentheses? A fraction this time. Negative 3/4 times negative 4. So negative 3/4 times negative 4 over 1. We're going to simplify. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into -4, -1. Negative times a negative is a positive, so we have +3 here. When we multiply the denominators, we just get 1. Once more, we have to multiply -3/4 times -8x over 1. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into -8x, -2x times. So we have -3 times -2x, which is +6x. Exactly. Once again, the denominators are going to be 1 when we multiply, so we don't need it. All right, let's combine like terms. 4x and 6x is our 10x. And then our constants, -6 and +3, different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the higher number. So we have 10x minus 3. Do the pop-up question in this space right here in the middle. See you next time.